There's a conversation that happens in almost every dressing room, between coaches, after training, sometimes even on a group chat, and it almost never involves the player being talked about. It goes something like this. What do you think of name? And the answer that gets someone dropped isn't usually not good enough. It's something far more specific and far more fixable. But because nobody ever says it to your face, you have no idea what it is. That's what this video is about. Not the surface level stuff you already know. The actual reasons, the ones coaches see in the first 10 minutes of every session that decide whether your name goes on that team sheet or stays off it. I'm going to give you 5 of them. And if any of these land, I want you to sit with them. Because this video might be the most useful thing you watch this season.
Why most players think the wrong thing. When a player gets dropped, the first place they look is their ability, their touch, their pace, their goals or assists. They think, I just need to be better on the ball, or I need more end product. And sometimes that's true, but more often than not, the player who takes your spot isn't more talented than you. They're just easier to trust. And trust, in football, is built through a completely different set of signals than raw technical quality. Coaches, especially at amateur and semi-pro level, are making decisions under pressure, often within the first 15 minutes of training. They're not running data. They're reading body language. They're watching how you react to a misplaced pass. They're noticing who's scanning, who's switched off, who makes the team easier to organize. If you've been focused only on your technical quality and wondering why it hasn't translated into more game time, this is why. The selection decision is happening on a layer you might have never thought to manage.
The 5 real reasons you keep getting dropped. Each reason gets its own mini section. The mistake, why it signals the wrong thing to coaches, and the fix. Deliver each one as a revelation, not a lecture. Reason 1. You're hard to read. Every coach needs to be able to predict what a player is going to do in a split second. Not because they want robots, but because unpredictability in the wrong places costs teams goals and costs coaches their jobs. If your positioning is inconsistent, if you switch your runs mid-movement, if you hold the ball in moments that break the team's rhythm, you're not being creative. You're being unreliable. And unreliable players, no matter how talented, are always the first ones to sit down. The fix isn't to become robotic. It's to become consistent in the right moments, so coaches feel safe putting you in. Pick 1 or 2 movements you do brilliantly and do them every single time. Make yourself a known quantity in the best possible way.
Reason 2, your body language leaks when things go wrong. This one is ruthless, and most players have no idea it's happening. You give away a bad pass. You drop your head for 2 seconds. You jog back instead of sprinting. You look at the floor instead of immediately getting back into position. In your mind, it's over in 5 seconds. In your coach's mind, it just got noted. Coaches don't just evaluate your best moments. They evaluate how you handle your worst ones. Because in a big game under real pressure, they need to know you won't fold. And if you fold in training when a drill goes wrong, they already have their answer. The adjustment here is deliberate and immediate. The second something goes wrong, your physical response has to say, I'm still in this. Chest up, reset, sprint. That's not fake positivity. That's competitive intelligence. Your reaction to mistakes is one signal, but there's another that coaches read even earlier, before you've even touched the ball. Reason 3, you don't communicate, so you seem disengaged. Silent players are invisible players, not in a tactical sense, in a selection sense. When you're on the pitch and you're not calling for the ball, not organizing the player next to you, not making noise when someone needs direction, you look disengaged. Even if your mind is completely in the game, the coach watching from the outside sees a player who appears passive. Communication isn't just about tactics. It's a signal that you're invested, that you're switched on, that you care about the collective performance, not just your own moments on the ball. Start with something small, literally just calling man on or turn or with you consistently. Those two words repeated throughout a game change how coaches perceive your contribution completely. Communication changes how coaches see you from the outside. But what about how they see you when the opposition has the ball? Reason 4, your off-ball work isn't doing enough.
There's a version of this conversation that players never want to have. You're only good when you have the ball. For a coach, that's a liability, because in a 90-minute game, you have the ball for maybe 2 to 4 minutes. What you do in the other 86 is what actually earns your place. Off-ball work is positioning when your team is out of possession. It's pressing angles. It's making the right run to create space for someone else, even when you know the ball isn't coming your way. It's work that doesn't show up in stats, but it shows up on your coach's team sheet. Pick one defensive action per half and do it with maximum effort. One ball you chase that you might not get. One press that forces a mistake. One run that drags a defender away from a teammate. Your coach will notice. Not immediately, but they will notice. We've talked about what coaches see during training, but one of the most underrated reasons players get dropped has nothing to do with what happens on the pitch at all. Reason 5, you're not building the relationship off the pitch. Before you click off, this isn't about being the coach's favorite. It's not about being political. It's about something more basic. Most coaches genuinely don't know what you're capable of because you've never told them. If you've been struggling with a position, or you've been working on something specific, or you have a performance goal for the season, your coach almost certainly doesn't know. And a coach who doesn't know what you're working toward can only evaluate you on what they see, which might not be the full picture. After training, once every few weeks, ask for one piece of feedback. Not, why am I not playing? That puts them on the defensive. Ask, what's one thing I can do better to give the team more? That one question does 3 things. It shows you're coachable, it gives you actionable information, and it makes your coach think about your development actively, rather than what to do this week. Here's how to put this into practice before your next session. Pick one movement you do well and commit to doing it consistently for 3 sessions in a row. Make it predictable, make it reliable. Every time something goes wrong, a bad touch, a misplaced pass, a lost header, your physical reset has to happen within 3 seconds. Chest up, sprint, communicate. Do it deliberately until it becomes automatic. Choose 2 communication cues, man on and turn, to start. Use them every session until they're reflexive. Identify one off-ball action, a press, a defensive run, a covering shadow, and execute it with maximum effort at least once each half. After your next session, ask your coach one specific feedback question. Not a complaint, not a negotiation. One genuine question about improvement. None of these require extra training time. They're all things you can do within the sessions you're already in. And collectively, they change the picture your coach sees of you within 2 to 3 weeks. Here's the thing about selection decisions. They're not just about talent. They're about trust. And trust is built through consistency, not through occasional brilliance. The players who hold their place in a squad aren't always the most gifted. They're the ones who make their coach's job easier, who are readable, who stay competitive when things go wrong, who contribute even when they're not having their best game. If you've been focusing purely on your technical quality and wondering why the results aren't matching your effort, you now have a different answer and a different set of levers to pull. The selection conversation is happening. You just got invited into it. If this video made you think differently about your game, hit subscribe. Every week, we go deeper into the things that actually separate improving players from stagnating ones. And drop a comment with which of the 5 reasons hit closest to home. I want to know what you're working on.